Chapter 7, Section 3, Multiplication and Division of Exponents. The rules to simplifying expressions, there are 6 of them. No negative exponents. You cannot have the same base appearing twice. The same base does not appear twice. No powers raised to powers. No products raised to powers. No quotients raised to powers. And the coefficients or the numbers are reduced. And this is in your book on page 460. On this first page of notes, we are going to look at 2 separate rules. Product of powers. If you are multiplying exponents, you actually add them. If you have x to the y times x to the z, that becomes x to the y plus z. If we had x squared times x to the third, another way to write that is x times x. X to the third is x times x times x. And this kind of shows you a little bit of why you add the exponents when you multiply them. You had 2 right here, 3 right here, so your final answer would be x to the 5th. If we had y to the 6th times y to the 5th, when you multiply exponents you add them, and that would be y to the 11th. Power of a product, we actually have 2 things here. If you have an exponent raised to an exponent, and in the parentheses that is an x to the y raised to the z power, when you have an exponent to an exponent, you multiply x to the y z. And also inside there, if we have 2 things inside parentheses, both of those things need to go to the exponent. So we had xy parentheses z, that becomes x to the z times y to the z power. An exponent to an exponent you multiply, and if you have parentheses, everything inside those parentheses needs to go to that power. Using numbers, if we had x to the 5th to the 2nd power, and exponent to an exponent you multiply, that would become x to the 10th. And if we had x to the 2nd y raised to the 3rd power, we have to do both things inside that parenthesis to the power. Exponent to an exponent you multiply. X to the 2nd to the 3rd is x to the 6th power, and then the y would go to the 3rd power. And now we have 12 examples down below here. First example, the m, there are 2 terms or 2 parts there where the m is raised to a power. M to the 5th times m to the 3rd is m to the 8th. And then we leave the y to the 3rd power. Number 2, y to the 3rd times y to the 4th. Those are the same bases. That becomes y to the 7th, z to the 6th. Number 3 is x to the 2nd to the negative 3rd power. Exponent to an exponent you multiply. So that would be x to the negative 6th times x to the 4th. The negative exponent means we put it in the denominator, so that x to the 6th goes to the bottom. And now we can cancel here. We have 4 x's on the top, 6 x's on the bottom, and that becomes 1 over x squared. Number 4, an exponent to an exponent you multiply. That would be m to the negative 12th times m to the 6th. When we multiply, we add exponents, and that would be m to the negative 6th power. And now, since that's to the negative 6th power, we would have 1 over m to the 6th. Number 5, 3 to the 4th power. You can do that on your calculator. That is 81. We have a to the 4th and a to the 2nd, which would be a to the 6th, and then b to the 5th. That's our final answer. Number 6, anything to the 0 power is 1, so that's going to cancel out. We have 2 things inside these parentheses. The negative 2 to the 4th power is 16, and with the exponent to the exponent we multiply. So negative 16x to the 12th. Number 7, when we multiply we add exponents. X to the 5th, x to the negative 2 is x to the 3rd times y squared. Number 8, 3x squared stays the same. A negative, there are 2 things inside these parentheses. There's the negative and there's a y to the 5th. A negative raised to the 3rd power will still be a negative. That's like negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. And an exponent to an exponent we multiply. Y to the 5th to the 3rd power is y to the 15th. And m to the negative 2, I'm going to rewrite that as 1 over m squared. And now our final simplifying, we have a negative right here and a 3. So we will have negative 3 out in front. We have an x squared. We have a y to the 15th. And m squared on the bottom of that fraction. And I ran out of room there. And the last row, exponent to an exponent we multiply. X